everyone, welcome to the Commissioners Clubhouse and the LCC Network for the third episode of the offseason here in January. Probably one of the most busiest weeks of the offseason for sure, and that is the rule proposal period going on. With us today, we got Jameson and Isaac. How's it going, guys?
What's up?
Hey, it's good. It's good. So we've got on this show, we've got some quick,
Hey, girl.
some quick announcements. Owner offense and defense rankings for 2018, which was a lot of fun to look at. Top 10 rivalries in the LCC. We're actually going to go through 10 through 6 today and 5 through 1 in the next episode. Quick thing for rule proposals that Isaac wants to talk about, and then AFC and NFC conference championship predictions, and then we'll be done. So we'll go ahead. We'll jump straight into it. Last minute announcements. Rule proposals are now on the site. Owners have until January 20th to vote. So go vote now.
Please, everyone, your vote counts.
Your vote definitely counts. There are a lot of things that right now may go one way or the other. So
just look at where we're at in America right now. If everybody would have voted, we might not be in here. Example. All right, moving on.
Exactly, Isaac. Thanks for turning this into a political show. So, we'll jump. Excuse me, guys. I just got back from dinner.
Sure you did.
Oh yeah, that's what's happening over here. So we'll jump straight into offense, defense rankings. This was a lot of fun. Isaac and I put this together this week while Pat worked on the rivalries. It was a lot of work, Isaac, but it ended up showing us a lot of information. A lot of things people felt like, hey, my team didn't do as well the second half of the season, and we have like data to prove that now. Like, hey, your offense was bad because of this reason. So it's a lot of fun. So we'll kind of jump straight into it. I did the Elite 12, so we'll start there. Broke up in offense, defense, some of the best offensive games. Surprisingly, Peyton was 215 just in his offense 1 week this season. Isaac 212, and Peyton 207 again. So Peyton had 2 of the top 3 offensive games in the Elite 12. Is anyone surprised by
No.
that?
No, because I knew his offense was high-powered, but his defense was shit. So, I mean, it wasn't really a surprise for me. Yeah. I was surprised that I was on there, honestly. But
I wasn't surprised by that at all. I was a little surprised Cameron didn't get in there because when his team was on fire at the beginning of the year, his offense at least.
His team was on fire.
Fire.
But
we'll talk about Cameron here soon.
That was the only thing that shocked me.
Yeah, Peyton actually led the league in. He was the highest ranked offensive of the season. So that was. But remember we talked about his young stars and like why he didn't go to the playoffs. It wasn't his young stars. It was his defense. So we'll kind of get to that soon. The worst offensive performances, the 3. Mike led the way, 59 points from his offensive players at one point this season. And then Bryson, not surprisingly, I guess, number 2 and number 3, 62 points and 66 points just from their offense. Not a lot of surprises there, I don't think, guys.
No.
3 best defensive games. Isaac, 254 points from his defense.
And let me jump in this. I had the most highest scoring by a defense in both conferences. Just want to take that time and pat myself on the back. And
That's right. That was a great game. Yep. And then I had number 242, the second spot in our conference, and then Pat and I tied for 225 for the third spot in our conference. So we all had really incredibly strong defenses. And in fact, we all ranked top 5 in defense in our conference this year. Pat was number 1. I was number 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, top 5, man.
Dude.
So the worst defensive games, Bryson. 36 points from defensive players in one of the weeks this season.
They must have been on bye weeks or something.
Even if you didn't, you had at least 4 defensive starters, I would think.
You can get one player on your defense to put up 36 points, much less 4 players he's got to start, D-line, linebacker, and 2 DBs. Only get 36 points. That is terrible.
Yeah, so that was bad. Kyle had 50, and then John, your dad, Pat, had only 51. So those are the worst defensive games on the season.
I think it kind of goes to show you, though, and I'm sure we're going to touch on this a little bit, just how these teams focus on their rosters throughout the offseason and regular season. They were definitely putting a whole lot more effort into their offenses and building that up from the ground, but then more so than their defense. I mean, man, Kyle was just shooting in the dark when he was drafting defensive players. Like, he didn't know what he was doing. But when we look at his offense, we'll see. I mean, not too shabby at all.
No, he actually was one of the higher ranked offenses.
Spoiler alert.
So yes, so Peyton again, highest ranked offense. Bryson was the lowest ranked offense in our conference. Patrick, the highest ranked defense. Peyton was the lowest ranked defense. He was literally 1 and 12 on the two. I mean, the numbers are unbelievable. I mean, I know no one else can see this, but we have entire Excel sheets of this data kind of strewn across it. And Peyton's numbers were unreal. I've never seen a swing like that on a team. It was incredible. Peyton actually averaged 38 more points per game in the second half of the season, and 42 of that was an increase in defense. So he actually got his defense right later in the year, but it was too late. Had he done it sooner, he would have won 4 of his last 6 games, but his opponent scored over 300 points in 4 of those 6 games.
And I will say another reason for that turnaround was Bobby Wagner actually playing well to his true self.
Yeah, it was actually
because at the beginning of the season he was not. I mean, he was scoring 20 points, which is just really not normal for him.
In our league at least.
Around the second half.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes to show you, like you said, though, Isaac, like as much as Bobby Wagner helped him in the second half of the year, it hurt him just as bad in the first half of the year. So, I mean, it definitely helped him kind of turn it around towards the end, but it definitely put him in a new hole.
Yeah.
Too
late. This stat blew me away. Cameron averaged 52 fewer points per game in the second half of the season. That's the biggest in either conference. I believe either conference. It is in our conference. If he hadn't dropped off that dramatically, he would have won 3 of his last regular season games, would have won his division, would have gotten a first round bye had he not dropped off that badly. 52 points per game was the difference between the first and second half of the season. In fact, Pat, you mentioned he was on fire really early. He was tied for the most points per game through the first 6 weeks of the season. Tied with me.
Yeah.
For the most points per game. Yeah. Unreal how badly his team fell off in the second half of the season.
And Joe Mixon was a big part of that, man. I mean, the Joe Mixon train for a lot of fantasy owners, not just in our league, but in general. I mean, man, he was like, oh, this is the guy. Like, we're going to ride him to your championship this year. But unfortunately for the Bengals, that just didn't pan out.
Yeah, I was going to say, it wasn't just Joe Mixon. It was that whole Bengals offense was just garbage.
Yeah. He had A.J. Green, who didn't play a lot, later in the year. It just didn't work out. Yeah. Another one that dropped off, Tyler. Tyler averaged 20 fewer points per game in the second half of the season. 17 of that drop came from his offense. So he only dropped 3 points per game in his defense. He dropped 17 points per game in his offense after Emmanuel Sanders and Melvin Gordon went down. I looked back from week 7 on. Had he not dropped off, just like Cameron, he would have won 3 more games and would have got the 5th seed in the playoffs, and would have actually taken where the spot Isaac was in the playoffs. So, lesson of the day: get off your lazy ass and work the waiver wire. Keep keep those guys hurt,
I mean, is anyone surprised though by this? Like, honestly, it's Tyler here. I mean, you see Tyler after week 6 on your schedule, you mark it up as a win. You know what I mean? Like,
but early on, he is dangerous.
Yeah, that first 5 games. I mean, I was a victim to that earlier this year. It's like, oh shit, I paid Tyler week 2 to watch my ass lose, and then I go lose.
You're caught in the eye of the hurricane when you're playing him in the first 3 weeks. Like,
yeah. And in fact, Tyler beat Isaac with 7 players because he forgot to take Melvin Gordon out and a couple other guys.
And
he beat him with 7 or 8 guys. It was crazy.
I mean,
after that he couldn't score.
Well, to be fair, that was in my 3-game losing streak at the beginning, which I did turn around. But there's 3 weeks where I got beat the shit out of Mike. I woke up, like I said, my house was gone, like you said in an earlier episode. And then
Dirty Mike and the boys.
I know.
Hold on. I got the sound drop.
Is that dirty enough for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
But Tyler got me. I mean, and Mike woke up, no house.
So my last stat here before I pass off to Isaac to do the top shot is Billy and Isaac were the only two owners in our conference to finish in the top half in both categories. So top 6 or higher in offense and defense, and they both went to the conference championship. So I don't know if that talks about balance being the key to getting to the final. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions.
I'm not going to tell you my secret, so it's going to be a secret.
Here's Isaac's secret. Draft all the running backs. That's Isaac's secret.
Hey, not everybody knows. No one knows my secret.
No, I think it shows it's not just about balance. It's good balance. You can have a bunch of guys that are just crappy, and your team's pretty balanced because they all suck. But I mean,
that's true. Bryson had balance, I guess. If you look at it that way.
Oh no!
Exactly.
Trust me, I'm about to go over a team that had a real good balance.
So just real quick before we move on, just in order, just in case there's anyone who didn't hear their name, offensive rank in our conference: Peyton, John, Isaac, Tyler, Kyle, and Billy tied for 5th, and 7th Jade, me at 8. Cameron at 9, Mike at 10, Pat at 11, and Bryson at 12. And then the defense, let's see, Pat, you were 1, I was 2, Cameron was 3, Billy was 4, Isaac was 5, Mike was 6, Tyler was 7, Kyle was 8, Bryson was 9, Jade was 10, John was 11, and Peyton was 12. So I know I said that quickly, but you can listen to it over and over if you have to. So. All right, Isaac, it's up to you, man. You did the top shotters, so we'll let you kind of lead the way with that.
All right, so like you said, I did the top shotters. I'm going to do it a little bit out of order. I got the top 3 and the worst 3. The top 3 offensive performances this year for the top shotters. Cody, no surprise here, had 241 offensive points in one game. Michael, which was a real surprise to me, had 229.
That was.
And then Cody again with 220. Those were the 3 highest offensive performance for the top shotters.
Yeah, Michael was very surprising. I'm not going to ruin anything yet, but he was very surprising. Go ahead.
All right, and the highest 3 defensive performances was Mufali, who got 237. This was the highest. Daquan with 231, and then Mufali again with 225. This was really not a surprise to me because, if you look at Mufali's defense, he had the best defense. Honestly, he might not have put, the most points out, but he had the best defense out of both conferences, in my opinion.
Yeah, he did. It was a stacked defense for sure.
And then we got the lowest 3 offensive performances. Kevin had 44, Daquan had 53, and Charles had 55. I would say Daquan was a little bit surprising for me. I knew his defense was good, but I didn't think his offense would have been that bad at one point.
Yeah. Considering he was a playoff team.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. Kevin and Charles, you kind of expect that. And now the biggest surprise out of all, the lowest 3 defensive performances was Michael 3 times.
All of them.
32.
Michael.
He had 32, 41, and 44. All 3 the lowest defensive performances.
Oh, man. Poor Mike. We need a sound drop, like a womp, 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 ba-doom.
All right.
Dang, man. He did worse. You do realize he did worse than worse than Bryson on defense. That's saying something, man. Bryson's over there playing Fortnite every week while everyone's working the waiver wire, and Bryson has a better defense.
How old is Bryson again?
Oh, Bryson's 14, I think.
Damn. Michael, step your game up.
Game up.
All right, next we got the highest and lowest points per game rankings. No surprise here. Cody had the highest ranked offensive points per game, but his defense was 7th in points per game.
Ooh.
Which, kind of wasn't really surprising to me because, he had such a high-powered offense. The chance of him having a high-powered defense to go along with that was kind of unlikely, but to finish outside the top 5 was a little bit, what do you guys think?
And he started so many offensive players. I think that kind of put into it too. He always started at least 5, maybe 6 offensive players. But
did you look at his offense? Who would blame him?
Well, no, yeah, exactly. But I was a little surprised given his defense because he had Blake Martinez, Darius Leonard. So I was a little surprised by that. I thought it would have been higher with how many points he put up.
All right, next we have Mufali, who had the highest defensive points per game. No surprise there. I mean, like I said, look at his defense. But he was 8th in offensive points per game. Like I told you earlier, I mean, if you're going to be on one end of the spectrum, I don't expect you to be on the other, that high.
Yeah.
But, I mean, 8th was a little bit of surprise because it was, more towards like the middle bottom.
Yeah. He mirrored my team very much, and we both went out in the same spot in the playoffs too. So maybe I need to make some adjustments. All right, who's next?
Kevin. Lowest ranked offense, points per game. No surprise there. And then his defense was 9th in defensive points per game.
Defensive points
you were 12th. You were the worst of the worst, 12 out of 12. And then you were 9 out of 12 on the other end. I mean, are you playing?
Man, this is why he got my vote for Toilet Team of the Year. Because despite Bryson having the worst record, dude, he still wasn't as bad as Kevin, man. And Kevin's at it 2 years in a row, like where he's at the bottom of the barrel and the top shot is in the league. I mean,
Because of that one player pool, Kevin's gonna get.
Oh my god, Kevin, dude, Kevin better be clicking. Hell nah.
Yeah, poor Kevin. Kevin, step your game up.
If you do so, we can't talk bad about you.
Who's next?
All right, next we got Michael, who had the lowest ranked defensive points per game, but finished 2nd in offensive points per game. That was a huge surprise for me.
Shocking.
2nd
Absolutely
in offensive points per game for Michael. Did Michael make the playoffs?
No, dude. Michael is one of the worst teams in their conference record-wise. But
I mean, obviously he knows what he's doing on offense, but no clue what he's doing on defense.
It's very Peyton-esque with how he set up his team. Very, very Peyton-like, I think.
Well, he actually reminds me like a polar opposite, in a weird way, like a polar opposite of my dad's team, Eastside Brawlers. A team that's built solely around offense. And then my dad, though, just happened to have a couple guys that were just good enough on defense to get him by. Whereas Michael didn't have quite enough to get him over the hump in a lot of games. So hopefully Michael can fix that, because it's definitely a difference maker. As we can see, we've seen a lot of these good defensive teams in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I will say, Quentin Dick's trade to the Redskins really helped your dad in the long run to help take the division from us. Because without that, his defense would have, wouldn't have been there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he had one guy on defense that kind of, picked up the slack everywhere else.
Yeah. All right, next we got points per game changes from the first to second half of the season. All right, so Mufali averaged 49 more total points per game in the second half of the season than he did in the first. So he did something, I don't know what it was, but he averaged 49 more points the second half of the season. So, kudos
he saw
to you,
Cameron and did the opposite of that, for sure.
Or he just, jugged Cameron's points and I'm going to take these, thank you.
Something. They just disappeared and Mufali had them all. He had a great second half.
Yeah, next was a kind of surprise for me. Charles averaged 29 more points per game in the second half of the season than the first.
Picked it up. You didn't see it in the win total, but he did better.
Yeah. Next, we got Daquan's total points per game dropped 27 points the second half of the season. Man, I don't know what you were doing. I mean,
I don't know what you were doing.
Did somebody get injured? I mean, I don't know. I can't really. This next one's not really a surprise for me. Storm's defense, on average, dropped 32 points per game the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's not good.
I mean,
that's like the second
that's significant.
I think, or maybe it might be the worst in their conference.
That's a quality starter that just you're not starting, or I don't know.
Well, I'll put it this way: like when you're a Storm-like team this past year, where you're putting up like 270 type numbers, which is good enough to win you probably half your games or almost half your games, and then you drop 30 points from that, and you become really just kind of, again, bottom of the barrel type team. I do. 30, that's a lot of points. You know what I mean? When you're only scoring 270. So
that's a lot of points. And he was actually in kind of in charge of his division for most of the season. So I mean that number right there shows you why he fell off and missed the playoffs this year. So,
but I wonder if it was towards like an injury or something. I don't, or he just was not working the waiver wire. I don't know why he dropped that much, honestly.
You have to break it down more.
Yeah. Next, we got Jordan on defense. He dropped 17 points per game in the second half of the season, which is a significant amount considering he was fighting to get into the playoffs and just came up just short. Like, that really cost him. And next, the biggest, I mean, kudos to this guy. He had the biggest turnaround in both conferences by raising his defense from the 11th out of 10. Like, that is shit.
Well, 11 out of 12.
Yeah, sorry. 11 out of 10.
Wait, what?
He was so bad. He was beyond the 10. It was awful.
Yeah, he was 11th out of 12. Like, he was bottom of the barrel the first half of the season. The second half, he was third. 3 out of 12.
That's a great turnaround.
That is awesome. Like, kudos to you, man. Whatever you did, you know, we might need to take notes.
I can find his number real quick. So he averaged 111 defensive points in the first half. He averaged 142 defensive points in the second half of the season. So 31 more defensive points per game in the second half of the season. I mean, that's an incredible turnaround. And then on top of that, he averaged his offense dropped a little bit, but yeah, his defense dramatically improved. So way to go.
Yeah. All right. Like Jameson did, I'll just do a quick rundown of 1 through 12 offensive defense for the top shotters. Number 1, of course, we had Cody, averaged 177 offensive points per game. 2, we had Michael with 161. Like I said, that was a pretty big surprise. We had Matt, the Crazy Legs, number 3, with 147. Then we had Jordan, the Afternoon Delights, with 138. Then we had Storm, the Vegetarians, at 133. Then we had Hunter Champions, 6 with 127. Borsa Clinic David with 125. Then we had Mufasa Moneymakers with 123. There's Colby, Mr. 300 with 114. Third Leg Charles, 10th with 105. Primetime Daquan with 102. And then last but least, Secure the Pound with Kevin had 85. And that was offensive rank. Defensive rank, we had Mufali 1 with 179, Daquan 2 with 172. Then we had Hunter with 140, which was a pretty big drop between these two guys. 4, we had Mr. 300 Colby with 139. Then we had Afternoon Delights Jordan with 131. Then we had Third Leg Charles at 6 with 127. Cody 7th with 126. That is still Curtin. Then we had 8, which was apparently I'm going cross-eyed. I can't find it. I think it was David with the
Abortion Clinic.
Yeah, David, Abortion Clinic with 126. Then we had Secure the Pound Kevin, 9th with 123. Vegetarian Storm, 10th with 118. Crazy Legs Matt, 11th with 108. And then last but not least, Michael, who did great in offense, was dead bottom of the barrel, 12th ranked with 86 points on defensive average points per game.
And if anybody wants that data, let us know. We've got it on an Excel sheet. We've got a lot of
I'm thinking we could probably post this. We'll just probably end up posting this on the website itself so everyone can check it out. It's just raw data. So, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but use it's definitely informative.
Yeah, use it how you want it. If you think you need to restructure your team or, to do better or look at teams that did great, whatever you want to do, use it how you want it. We'll publish it so you can see it. So.
But I will say it costs $5 to look at it, so just send that check or cash my way, please and thank you.
That's a side business over there that we're not.
That's right.
But so we'll jump into our next segment here. We got the top 10 LCC rivalries. Pat, this is what the segment you were working on this week with all your history. You've been
boy.
So we'll let you kind of take this away, and this is your baby. So.
Oh yeah, no, I'm pumped. So I think I alluded to this in one of the other episodes, but once a month, pretty much for the next. I mean, we're talking definitely the off season, maybe regular season too, but just short now, doing top 10 whatever in league history, and we're kicking it off with top 10 rivalries, like you said, Jameson. A couple honorable mentions here that didn't make the cut. Oh, and by the way, let me take a step back. Isaac definitely gave me some good advice here. I did not do this based off my personal opinion. In fact, I would have done this entirely different in these rankings if it was me making this. But no, I came up with scoring categories so that I could come up with mathematical rankings and explanations as to why people are in the top 10, why some aren't. It's based off trash talking between owners, number of times owners have played, head-to-head record. If their win-loss ratio was like a 40-60, which to me is pretty generous. If it was in that threshold, you got points for that. If they played each other in playoff games, there are points for that. If they've been in the same division at some point, there's points for that because it becomes like a divisional rivalry. So to kick it off, some honorable mentions. I'll work my way to 10. Isaac Billy, probably one of the newer rivalries in the league. Definitely got in here at the same time. Isaac's been good from the start. Billy had a rough start, but you look at these two teams. Isaac really, the reason why this wasn't even in the top 10 partially was the simple fact that they've only been in the league so long together, and they've only played each other once in the playoff. And Isaac really historically owns Billy. So, anyways, there's that. Next up, we've got Billy versus Cameron. That's one that's kind of emerging. I think if Cameron can kind of get back to where he used to be, I think that rivalry will become even better than it already is. Next, Cody Hunter. Again, these are just honorable mentions. These aren't even in the top 10. That's one that's coming on the rise. They've already played each other in the playoffs twice. Man, I mean, they were really close to getting in the top 10. We have got Colby Mafali. That's one that's rising up for sure. Next up is Cody and Cameron. That's this one right here. When I saw this not in the top 10, my jaw dropped. And here's why. I know Cody and Cameron are thinking, how is this not in the top 10? Like, we talk shit to you all year long. Like, you know what I mean? And for the past 10 years. So the reason why this is in the top 10 for the simple fact that if you look at Cody, he has not really – I mean, this rivalry is so lopsided historically. Cody's beat Cameron twice in 10 games. I think they played each other. And because of how lopsided the rivalry is and the fact they never played each other in the playoffs and the fact that Cameron has only made the playoffs once in the past 3 years, Cody's up until the past 2 years really wasn't ever making the playoffs. You kind of see that they just haven't been on the same page when they played each other. So that's why it's not in the top 10, which is kind of crazy. Still really crazy for me to think about. Last honorable mention is Jordan versus Daquan. This is a classic rivalry. It's a classic divisional rivalry. Yes, they played each other in the playoffs. But again, two teams that really aren't on the same page every year. Example, this year and the previous year. This year, Jordan didn't make the playoffs. Daquan did. And the year before that, Daquan was finished worse in their conference. Jordan won the division. So to kick off, you guys have anything to say real quick about the honorable mentions, the guys that didn't make the cut?
No.
I will say, you're right. I do.
No, I got nothing.
I do own Billy, but he got me in the playoffs for that matter. Still salty about that. But,
yeah. I think, but it's games like that will make this a really good rivalry in years to come. You know what I mean? Like, it's already here. Like, we're already calling it a rivalry. It's just not quite top 10 yet.
According to
I think it will be.
Your formula that you created,
Yeah, according to this formula, which, again, this isn't even my own opinion. So number 10, I really didn't even think.
Hold on.
Okay, all right.
Buddy.
Kick it off.
Patrick jumped the gun. We've got some sound drops for the countdown here. I can't believe you did that, Patrick. I've been waiting for 10 minutes to hit the button.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Jameson has been so excited all week to play these sound drops.
So excited. You guys haven't heard these yet. I'm so excited. So we'll kick it off.
His bubble.
Here we go to start the countdown.
Number 10.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that.
I like it. All right.
That was your voice too, right?
No, that was not.
That was your voice?
No, I wish that was my voice. I tried one, but it sounded awful. So I just went down.
All right. Number 10, as Jameson's beautiful voice just told us. I honestly I did not think this was going to be in the top 10, but it is. And it's none other than Isaac and myself. I know some people may say, man, that's so biased. You got two hosts on the show. You're putting the rivalry in there. And I promise you, this had nothing to do with my personal opinion. But here's why it's in the top 10. Let me break this down for you guys. First of all, in the past 3 years, Isaac's been in the league. He has not missed the playoffs once. Nope. We are split. Oh, sorry. I thought you were about to say that. But split head-to-head record. I mean, every year. We've never swept each other any year, first of all, which makes it even more intense. In the past 3 years, we have 2 divisional titles between ourselves. We have 3 playoff. No, we have 5 playoff appearances. Sorry. We've got 2 conference championship appearances. Fortunately, no wins there. So we've both been extremely successful the past 3 years. And top it off, our games usually define who's going to win the division. Up until this year, neither one of us did. My dad did. He was the vulture that was just picking apart our dead bodies after beating the crap out of each other all year. You know what I mean? But no, it's been a great rivalry, Isaac, so far. It's gonna continue to grow. I don't think either one of us are gonna both be out of the playoffs in a year. I feel like there's always gonna be one of the 2 of us in it, if not both of us.
Oh hell no.
So no, it's definitely one of the better rivalries as this scoring has shown is top 10 in the top 10. What are your guys' thoughts?
I like it. You guys are split 3-3 all time. 7 points per game is usually the difference in your matchups. So they're always close scoring. You both got division titles in the past 3 years. It's a good rivalry. I like it.
Yeah, it's not good for my heart, though. I mean,
yeah, I know, right? Dude,
that one time that I beat the shit out of Pat when Kareem Hunt
won
92-point game, his first game.
Oh my god!
It's the only time I can remember me beating the crap out of him, and then he beat the crap out of me one time this year.
Yeah, that's right. Well, no, I beat the crap out of you the second time we played each other that year. So. We get back, dude. My goal every year is to beat Isaac the first game. That way, the second game, I don't got to worry about it. You know what I mean? Just to get that first win, and the second one, I don't have to worry about as much.
All right, not to interrupt this romance. We gotta move on.
All right, let's keep it going.
Number 9.
All right, God, Jameson, your voice, man, is on point.
Well,
all right, that's what it is. All right, number 9. You got none other than Daquan and Cody. Man, this rivalry goes even deeper than this league goes. This goes all the way to high school, really. When these guys were playing high school football and probably middle school football together, I'm not sure. But no, they played each other 11 times in the past 9 seasons that we played. I wouldn't say there's a ton of trash talking between the 2 compared to some of these other rivalries, but there is a little. They do have that ratio between 60-40. It's not dead even. Have never played each other in the playoffs. That's one reason why this game is higher on the list. And they've been in the same division a good amount of the time up until recently when we realigned the league. No, this is a great one, man. I think of this and you look at the first couple of years, and Daquan was the much better franchise for the longest period of time up until now, where Cody has totally eclipsed Daquan for sure in terms of success in the league. And I feel like, if Daquan can step his game up a little bit, it's going to be tough with Cody being the only real contender in that conference. I think that this rivalry is just going to keep growing, especially if Daquan can keep full steam ahead in the 2019 season.
Yeah, you know what's interesting in the matchup? So they're 6-5 all time. The winner only wins by an average of 5 points in their matchups against each other. So even closer than you and Isaac, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. A lot of historical data there.
Shit.
God. All right,
we ready?
Man.
We ready?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
Number 8.
I love hitting that button. I just pulled the trigger too fast.
Trigger happy over there.
Trigger finger.
Jameson just can't wait to announce the numbers.
Can't wait.
He has prepped his vocal cords for this moment all week long.
Yeah,
and you're doing a good job.
That's me. Like
that's him. That's literally.
Yeah, that's my voice.
Number 10.
No.
All right, number 8. This one shocked the hell out of me when you think of one team's success versus the other, but I can see why it's definitely in the top 10. Number 8 is none other than Jameson versus Tyler. That is a brotherly blood battle for sure between both of you guys. You guys came to the league, 2013 together.
Same year.
You both had growing pains your first year. I think long-term success, though, definitely goes to Jameson. They played each other 11 times, but because of the fact that it's totally one-sided in the head-to-head matchup, didn't get a lot of points there for that. Never played each other in the playoffs because Tyler's only made the playoffs once. And they've been in the division together ever since 2014, your second year, is when you guys got stuck in the same division together. And you've been there ever since. So definitely a good divisional rivalry, definitely a good brotherly rivalry. It's just unfortunate that, Tyler hasn't – he's kind of like the Eli Manning of the two of you. You know what I mean? You're like, if I had to relate to two brothers, I mean –
I was going to say, don't say that because Eli Manning wants the Super Bowls.
That's true. Not even that. He's like a Tim Hasselbeck. You know what I mean? Like he's been like this perennial backup quarterback for the longest time. He may have thrown a touchdown in like a preseason game, and it looks really cool, but that's kind of it.
I will say though, this game's influential on the scheduling. Because me and Tyler play each other the first week every single year. And so when Patrick and I make the schedule, or when he makes it by himself, I literally go in and move entire weeks around to face Tyler in week 1. So if you're ever wondering why you're playing who you're playing on week 1, it's because I'm playing Tyler.
It's because of Jameson.
Yeah. So it is influential in that way. But
I'm pretty sure though, like in terms of like if you go to week 1 matchups between the two of you, I bet Tyler actually may own you for week 1. I feel like he may have the more wins than you. Dude, we just talked about it. He's like the GOAT of first half teams. I mean,
I didn't say that. That's a bit much.
Of first half teams. Now, come on, give him that. Give him that.
Are we ready to move on?
Yeah, let's move on. This rivalry sucks.
Number 7.
This rivalry sucks.
No, it's definitely a good rivalry. But number 7, as Jameson just announced, is this one's good, man. And the fact that this rivalry, I'll just go ahead and say it, it's Mafali versus Cody at number 7. Some people may be surprised it's that higher. I'm just surprised it's in the top 10 when you look at Mafali. He's been in the league just as long as Isaac. I'm pretty sure just as long as Isaac, but came into the league 2014, took some time off, came back, a much better fantasy owner for sure from those years. And it's been pretty intense when you look at Mafali's the only team, dude, in the top shot is, and it'll probably be the only team this year, assuming we don't move to one player pool, to really be able to challenge Cody. It's like the only one that things are really clicking with, understanding IDP and
he's the only one that's got
common sense over there.
But shots fired.
Boom roasted.
Boom roasted. No, but no, it's definitely a really good rivalry. And, I texted Jordan, and Jordan texted Matt, and then Jordan took a screenshot of Matt's message and sent it to me, like their opinion of what some of their best rivalries, and this was in their top 3 for sure. Man, you can't argue against it. I mean, they've trash talking there. Go ahead and check that. They've played each other 6 times already. The head-to-head's in favor of Cody, obviously, but they played each other in the playoffs already, man. It's just like Cody and Maffei is the real deal. He's good. And I hope he stays around in the league for a long time, because I think, he's a good challenger that Cody at least has him now.
Well, we just need more owners in here that are like him, that,
Yeah.
does a little bit of research, knows what he's doing, takes some risks, not somebody that's just submits a lineup and then that's it.
More move follies. Hashtag more move follies.
That's right.
All right, cool. Is that it?
I should start putting hashtags in the description of these videos. Yeah, we can go ahead and move on.
All right, cool.
Number 6.
Number 6. This is the last one we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to kind of split the top 10 up into 2 different segments, so it doesn't make up the entire episode. This one's good, man. I really wanted this to be top 3, and it deserves to be top 3 in my opinion. Those new to the league may not realize it, because I don't think they've played each other in the past 3 years, but the history's there. It is Colby versus Jade. This is our first interconference matchup we have seen in the top 10. It's a good one. And for those that don't know the history between these 2 teams, let me take you on a little trip. It is, first of all, they've played, this is pretty crazy in my opinion. They played each other 7 times in the past 9 years. I mean, they average almost a game every single year. And you consider the fact that Jade left for a year and Colby actually left for a year. So it's really in 8 years of them being in the league. They played each other 7 times. They've got that 40-60 ratio. They've played each other twice in the playoffs, and they both beat each other in the playoffs. But they've got a divisional history too from way back when. And man, I'm telling you, if you go back and look at the playoff matchups between these 2 teams, it's really entertaining, because you look at, my opinion, one of Jade's best teams, which was Matt's first championship. Colby in my opinion, upset Jade in the conference championship to move forward. And I know Jade was pissed. I was at my dad's house, and Jade was there too, and he was livid. He was so angry that he lost to Colby. And vice versa. Jade did the same thing to Colby a couple years before then when Jade did win a championship. So, definitely a good rivalry. Not a lot of trash talking between both of them. Oh, and then top on the fact that I think it was 20. What? It was like 2012, I think.
Yeah,
or
the notes.
It was Jade's first.
Says 2012. Yeah.
2012. Yeah. Real quick backstory here. Colby absolutely refused to pay Jade the money he owed him for fantasy when Jade won. And Jade, obviously, understandably, Jade's upset about it. He's like, dude, I won. What the hell? He's not going to pay me? And Colby, I remember, wasn't even so much mad with Jade. It was the fact that the same thing had happened to Colby when he won the first ever Little Critter Bowl. I mean, you got to understand, dude, we were all in high school in 2010, majority of this league. And so $20 is back, and we used to pay $20 to get in the league. Dude, I mean, people were making minimum wage. Dude, $20 was like half a day's worth of a paycheck. You know what I mean? So to some people, that was a lot of money back then, I guess. But so that was kind of Colby's way of getting back for not getting all of the money that he was owed in 2010.
Oh man. Oh, sorry about that, fellas. No, that's awesome. Right. I like the rivalries. That's exciting. I'm excited to hear what 1 through 5 is going to be next week.
Yeah, no, 1 through 5 has some surprises. I mean, I know like 10 through 6 had some surprises to me, but 1 through 5 definitely has some good ones, and we'll dive into that, I guess, the last week of January, after we've also found out our rule changes.
Cool. Well, speaking of that, we'll let you talk for a couple minutes. We're going to finish out with rule changes and then playoff predictions, and we'll be wrapping up. So go ahead, Isaac.
All right, so I know you guys, if you have voted, too late for you, but for people that have not, I just wanted to get my point across for one of my rule proposals. Well, it's actually two. I'm tired of the score being favored towards certain positions and neglected towards others. I don't understand why a receiving touchdown counts as 10 points and a rushing touchdown counts as 10 points. I remember watching a Chiefs game where I was like, dear God, throw Kareem Hunt the ball, back before he kicked the girl. But, throw him the ball so I can get 10 points. It's like, I don't understand that. Like, why is it 4 points higher for catching than running, Or, a quarterback throwing a touchdown gets 4 points. I mean, I understand quarterbacks throw a lot more touchdowns than a running back runs or a wide receiver catches. But, NFL, 6 points is 6 points. Why should a turnover for one position count differently for another? Turnovers is turnover, touchdowns are touchdown. Let's make all turnovers and touchdowns equal, regardless of the position that we play. We need to stop showing favoritism and neglect towards certain positions.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I've got that sound off this week too.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, I just really feel strongly about this. I mean, not many people are on board with it yet. Maybe we can take it just a step further, but not all the way. We can make it, receiving touchdowns and rushing touchdowns 6 maybe next year. I just wanted to throw that out there this year to get people's opinions on it. Next is another one that I'm really trying to push for. I feel like wide receiver value is only about receivers that get touchdowns. If you get a guy that gets 5 catches for 120 yards, you got 12 points for the 120 yards plus 17 points. I mean, that's not even 20 points. But I mean, they had a fantastic game. It's the scoring for wide receivers is based basically around touchdowns. So I wanted to bump up the yardage, and it would be the same scoring as a running back. They get a point for every 5 yards. Well, a wide receiver would get a point for every 5 yards as well. Currently, it is 1 point for every 10 yards. So, that is my rule proposal for that one. And also, Cody did suggest this also.
Cool.
All right, so yeah, go ahead, James.
Well, yeah, no, that gives everyone a lot to think about. As we kind of finish up the last 2 days. I know I've voted on almost everything, so I hope everyone else is going to get out there and get that done too. Real quick before we finish up the show, we want to do some NFL playoff predictions for this week.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
So we've got the Saints and the Rams playing Sunday at 3:00. We've got a couple quarterbacks in here, or actually one quarterback in this game. He's a man.
I'm a man. 40. I'm 40.
This week, and Drew Brees. I haven't played that one in a while.
Shout out to Drew.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and start. I've got the Rams winning this game, 31-28. I think they got a better secondary than Philadelphia had, and the Saints struggled at home last week. And the Rams got a great ground game. I know they can kind of grind that out. I know the Saints got a good run defense, but if they can keep the ball in their hands and away from Drew Brees, I think it serves them well. So, Isaac?
All right, I got the Saints. I mean, nobody wants to go for a division rival to win. I mean, I don't want them to win. I think they will. The power of the dome will be real that night or day, 3:00. Then I think the Saints defense will actually slow down the Rams offense like they did the first time that they played. So, yeah, I got the Saints winning.
Side note, the power of the dome is also Drew Brees' nickname for how smart he is when he plays football. The power of the dome. Yeah, that was a bad joke. I need a rim shot to do. Patrick.
That's what she said.
There you go.
That's what she said.
Pat, who do you got?
No, in the Battle of the Dome, if you will, I'm definitely going with the Saints here, man. I mean, listen, it's Drew Brees, probably one of the greatest quarterbacks we have seen play in all of the 2000s. He's playing at home against a quarterback who is really, I don't think he's ever been on this kind of stage before in this kind of environment. And this is probably one of the toughest places to play in all of the NFL. and you're putting Todd Gurley, you're putting a bunch of key guys that are very young, and I'm interested to see how they handle this moment. I think they can do it, but I'm going with the Saints in this one, and a very close one for sure.
Sweet. Would you guys be mad at me if I got a signed Drew Brees jersey to hang on my wall in my hangout room?
I would judge you.
No.
I would judge you for that.
You would judge me.
That would be awesome.
I would judge you for that.
Come on,
Dude, you are a Panthers fan, dude. You don't see Browns fans saying, "Would it be weird for me to get a Big Ben jersey and frame it in my room?"
You know what,
dude?
I'm gonna do it.
No,
I'm gonna do it.
a signed jersey.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
It's still wrong. It's still wrong.
No, I'm gonna hang it right next to my signed Luke Kuechly jersey too. How does that sound?
Oh God, dude! If anything, I want to see you. Oh man, no.
Okay, so would you hang up a Tom Brady jersey in your house?
Hell no! Hell nah, dude! No, get out of here!
I just don't like Brady, but I like Drew Brees.
I am not a Patriots fan, and I'm not a Saints fan, but those two are Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and if I could get them somehow to magically sign a jersey that somehow I would ever buy to begin with.
It's not magic. You can go to a website and buy one.
Well, no shit. Yeah. I'm saying, why would I ever buy those jerseys?
Because they're cool.
That's the point. Just if it magically fell in my lap and they magically signed it, I would hang it up.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Even if someone gave it to me, I'd probably sell
it. All right. Well, we'll get back.
Speaking of Tom Brady.
Speaking of Tom Brady. In fact, another man who's
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Playing in the NFL this weekend. I've got the Patriots 38-37. I think they've got a great ground game. The Chiefs' run defense is garbage. And the Saints are quick to throw the ball, so they're going to be able to neutralize that really potent Kansas City pass rush. So I think
the Saints?
The Patriots. The Patriots are quick to throw the ball. They're going to be able to neutralize that Chiefs. I got Drew Brees on the brain. That Chiefs pass rush. So I'm going with the Patriots in this one.
Insane in the membrane.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. All right. I got the Pats as well. You can't go against the GOAT in the playoffs. Much as I don't want them to be there, I actually really want the Chiefs to make the Super Bowl. I feel like it would be really interesting to watch. But yeah, give me Tom Brady all day.
Yeah, I'm going. I mean, dude, I've been hearing on the radio this weird question of which team is going to do better, or which team is going to do better in this cold weather environment. I mean, is this a question? Is this a grown man asking this question that watches football? Tom Brady? Are you kidding me, dude? Tom Brady lives in the cold. I mean, he lives in an igloo with his wife. Like they live in an igloo on a frozen lake. And their heart is as cold as that lake.
In fact,
because it's Tom Brady and the Patriots.
There's a Superman in the ice cave or whatever it's called. There's a Superman.
Yeah,
and I will say he doesn't have a wife. He has a smoking hot wife.
You can tell which one of us isn't married just from that comment right there.
Oh yeah, that is true. I forgot you two are married. Losers.
I just it's hard for me to pick. And I've been hearing it too, but yeah, Gronkowski's kind of old, and he's not as quick as he was. And who does Tom Brady have to throw to? Man, it doesn't matter. Tom Brady could have a team of everyone on this fantasy league as his receivers, and he would still win the game. Like, he'd be throwing darts to me, like, just falling over the damn field. Like,
I will say, if I was a receiver, I would beat Randy Moss's, his stuff when he was there.
You would be the Randy Moss equivalent of Brady.
Oh my God, dude!
I would be Randy Moss.
Get out of here, man!
I was just kidding.
You'd be the Chad Ochocinco. That's who you'd be. Of the Patriots.
Hey, Chad Ochocinco was good back in the day.
Not for the Patriots, he wasn't. Ask Storm. He spent a first-round pick on him.
Oh, Storm. Oh man. All right. One more thing. I think all of America is probably cheering for the Rams and the Chiefs. Another rematch in the Super Bowl. I mean, I am.
I am.
Shit. I think that'll be a great game. All right, guys. With that, we're done. Anything else before we get on? This was a long show. We apologize for going over. We had a lot of fun. So
we hope you guys really enjoyed it. And make sure you go vote.
No. Don't just go vote. Let me stop you there. go read the rules first before you vote. Because I texted Billy. I'm gonna get into the whole story because I won't take too much time. But Billy voted on a rule. I was like, man, you voted for that? He was like, yeah, man. He basically totally contradicted what the rule even says. And I'm like, did you not read that? Like, it clearly does not state that in the rule. Like, have you lost your mind? Make sure you read the rules before you vote. I know some of us don't like to read, but I'm telling you,
a lot of us don't like to read. Yeah. I don't like to read, but I mean, this is a fantasy season in the line as far as points, differentials and stuff.
There's a lot of line for this week.
It's important stuff. We're playing with money here. This is not a free league. This is hard-earned money. Well, some of us. Hard-earned money that we really need to read and vote accordingly.
Yeah, hashtag rock the vote. So,
hashtag rock the vote. Hashtag, what was the Mufali one again? I got to remember that
one. More Mufalis. Hashtag more Mufalis.
More Mufalis. Hashtag rock the vote.
Okay. Hashtag we'll keep track of all of our hashtags, and then at the end of the year, we'll let everyone vote on which one they like the most. I'm going to a list of these. Started from the Bryson, now we're here. More Mufalis. And then hashtag rock the vote. All right, cool. All right, guys, with that, we're done. Anything else? No? Yes?
Nope.
No? Okay. All right, cool. Well, we'll next week, back with it. We'll put that Excel on the website. You can check it out if you want to. And with that, we're out.